This is the movie where Pat Healy's character gets so frustrated he downs a bottle of mouthwash. Today, do we really need to do anything? Welcome back, ghouls and gals. It is with a heavy heart that we have to say goodbye to our dear Catherine O'Hara this week. Sudden and devastating news. The people's mother, Delia Dietz, Sally, Moira Rose, and of course, the incomparable Kate McAllister. From SCTV to the studio, we thank you, Catherine. Can we take a second to collectively scream, Kevin? Okay, on a more positive note, the Iron Lung movie, Iron Lung, is getting great reviews, and I will say I am not a Markiplier fan, and I also know nothing about the game that it's based on, but I am hella excited about this one. It seems like a really fun concept, and speaking of video games, I would actually love to see some sort of adaptation of mouthwashing. It is a really cool original game, original concept, and I personally think it would be a really solid 75-minute horror film. And speaking of mouthwashing, let's get into today's movie. We Need to Do Something. A movie that did not get great reviews, but I fear it is extremely misunderstood. Released in 2021, directed by Sean King O'Grady, seeking shelter from a storm, a family finds themselves trapped in a bathroom for days with no sign of rescue and untold evils lurking just beyond the walls. Now, I've already mentioned that this stars Pat Healy, and if you're not familiar with him, you are missing out. But if you do know him, you probably remember him from either Magnolia, Dinner in America, Ghost World, Compliance, The Innkeepers, and so many more fantastic films that will actually end up being on this list. This also stars Vanessa Shaw, who we mostly know from the Hills Have Eyes remake and also Eyes Wide Shut, and even stars Sierra McCormick, who will also pop up in a handful of more movies from this list. Now, I chose this film because in my previous episode, we covered the topic of chamber pieces, and this is a movie that fits that theme entirely. Minimal setting, minimal cast, impending doom with danger just off in the upcoming moments, and we really find out who these people are, who our family is, when we are trapped together. We Need to Do Something is one of those wild, divisive, low-budget horror films that people either call genius or a frustrating waste of time. We follow a family of four trapped in their bathroom during a freak storm, seemingly a tornado, that slams a tree into their house and seals them in. And what begins as a claustrophobic survival scenario soon becomes much stranger and much more horrifying. Melissa, the eldest daughter, played by Sierra McCormick, tries to contact her girlfriend Amy and deal with the family's escalating tensions, all while being trapped inside four walls. With a toilet, luckily. Or should I say unluckily. It is quickly clear that the outside world isn't just storming. Supernatural and grotesque events unfold, including a demon-like talking dog voiced by Ozzy Osbourne, R.I.P., that bites Melissa. But flashbacks reveal that Melissa and her girlfriend Amy performed a hex-like ritual that might have triggered all of the horrors. Violence within the family escalates, the alcoholic father degenerates a la mouthwash, and Melissa ultimately stabs him to death. The ending is ambiguous and chaotic. The mother briefly escapes the bathroom but returns bloodied, and something crashes outside. And it ends. And honestly, that is the most brief wrap-up I can give you. This movie drags a bit, but I'll be honest, I like it because I love a talky, boring film. It is a surreal mix of psychological horror, implied ritual magic, and visceral gore, all while mostly being contained in one room. There are a few good scares, but at the end of it all, we're still questioning what we need to do something about. And I think that's totally fine. We don't always need to be spoon-fed all of the answers. Like I said, this was directed by Sean King O'Grady, and it was actually based on a 2020 150-page novella by Max Booth III, who also wrote the screenplay. And this was filmed in late 2020 during the pandemic. So pretty much the story, the novella was released, and Sean King O'Grady was like, hell yeah, love this, let's pick it up. And with extra safety precautions and a very small crew, this was filmed, like I said, during the pandemic. And I think this also makes the chamber piece theme feel more chamber piecey. The entire movie was shot on a soundstage in Michigan over 4 weeks, and it was kept so secret until filming wrapped, which I think is so cool to just drop this mysterious movie with an ambiguous ending. It's such a cool film. Now, people were definitely frustrated by the lack of concrete answers. The supernatural elements are vague and ambiguous, leaving many people angry rather than excited. And I feel, like I said, like I was in the minority of people who really enjoyed the storytelling. Another critique was that there is a thin or uneven narrative. Multiple people said the story felt underdeveloped and lacked payoff, and unfortunately, I don't think a lot of people realized, like I said, this was based on a 150-page novella. And that's just a tiny story when you think about it. People also did not like that Pat Healy was a literal psychopath in this movie, but I thought it was fun to watch him unravel and to see his range as a character. It was memorable, and the film is definitely an offbeat one. It's dark, it has some incredibly weird scenes that you really can't help but to laugh at, and whether you thought this was creepy, unpredictable, and unique, like me, or tedious, nonsensical, and a waste of time like the majority of audiences, you have to admit it definitely is an original concept. Who else is doing an Aussie demon dog in this time? So yeah, we need to do something is one of those chaotic, claustrophobic chamber horrors that either completely works for you or absolutely does not, between the dysfunctional family dynamics, the possible ritual gone wrong, and the total refusal to give clear answers. It lives firmly in that vibes over logic space, and some people loved the tension and weirdness, and others were left confused and annoyed, and honestly, that divide feels very on brand. And if you're into messy, ambiguous horror that leaves you unsettled more than satisfied, this one is worth a watch. And just maybe don't expect closure. But anyways, thank you so much for being here and for listening and for being weird. I'll talk to you in the next video. Maybe we can find something that we actually need to do something about. Sayonara, suckers.